energized by the powerful morning. Good morning. Well, if the swallows are flying low, it means rain is coming, and if Zelensky has left, unfortunately, it means Ukraine will face massive shelling. And that's really the case. It all started right after Zelensky left. He went to the funeral of the greatest figure of all time, Lindsey Graham, and will stay in the US for a whole week. At the same time, he said the following: he urges all Ukrainians to hide wherever they can because shelling is coming. And at the same time, he recorded an evening selfie on an iPhone, of course, from abroad. Ukrainians, realizing what was coming, immediately started hiding in the subway underground. But the thing is, there aren't enough places for everyone because bomb shelters basically haven't been built. And in the subway, especially in Kyiv, there aren't enough spots for everyone. Not to mention other cities where there is no subway, no bomb shelters. What people are supposed to do is unclear, but the main thing is take care of yourselves, says Zelensky. Subscribe to this channel and let's go. Look, it all started with people gathering right in the subway. Even before Zelensky was threatening and wagging his finger, people already understood where things were heading, that if he left, they needed to hide. At night, of course, so people started gathering in the Kyiv subway, setting up tents. By the way, there was talk earlier about banning these tents because they were getting in the way of most people. And there, for example, 2 people or even 1 can take up a space where 4 people could fit. Well, but that idea just faded away like many others, and as a result, things have gotten to this point. And this has already been shown. After everyone gathered, they stopped letting anyone in from the surface. That is, as soon as the metro was full, they stopped letting people into the subway. And again, it's unclear what people who can't find shelter are supposed to do. They just have to stand and wait until a drone, jet-powered or not, a ballistic missile or something else hits. It's strange while the authorities stay safe elsewhere. Concha Zaspa isn't being bombed. Such a scene is foreign to them, so there's no need to worry. I'm sure they're over there sleeping soundly deep in their dreams. Of course, they have water, food, and everything else they need. Nothing changes in this world. And then the shelling started right away. The shelling was terrible. Even now, at the time of recording this video, there are still warnings. But let's see what's happening there. President Volodymyr Zelensky warned Ukrainians about a possible massive strike on Ukraine. On the night of July 29th to 30th, Ukrainians were graciously permitted to hide wherever they could. At the same time, there are also manhunters on duty in some bomb shelters. These are the same patrol groups that break people's arms and legs and drag them into vans. Well, you know what I mean, Zelensky stated. There was a report from the commander of the Air Force, Anatoly Krivonoshko. The Russians prepared for a massive strike a few days ago, and it is precisely tonight that there is a high probability the strike will be carried out. Well, that is, as soon as the powerful leader left, strikes could be carried out immediately. He urged Ukrainians to take care of themselves, to pay attention to air raid signals. It's important for our partners. Well, anyway, it's already started. Yes, it's money. Yes, it's missiles. Yes, it's everything. And here we are basically just sitting while we have lunch or maybe dinner somewhere with someone. The attack started right away, of course. The Russian Federation attacked Kyiv. A series of explosions thundered in the city. Fires broke out in 2 districts. There are reports of fires in the Sviatoshinsky and Obolonsky districts, and all of this started as early as 11, long before everything else. But, you know, it continued quite intensely. Here's the alert map. Initially it started around 11, then the drones started coming in. And Kharkiv is there, and Kyiv and Poltava, and especially Kryvyi Rih. This is the city of Volodymyr Zelensky, where there is practically no air defense in this city. There is some, but it doesn't help. Then mass warnings started coming in. It became known where things were coming from. An explosion started in Dnipro in Kyiv, a series of explosions. The air forces were reporting about what was moving, but judge for yourself, even if you don't read it, how many? Every few minutes the list was updated, and then places like Vinnytsia and Sumy came under fire, and Kharkiv was under fire. And Kyiv is still under alert. Almost the entire map is red, except for Zakarpattia, Lviv region, and a few others. And at 2:31 Kyiv time, more drones were detected in the southeast of Kyiv region. Here you can see how all of this is flying, and around 3 o'clock Kyiv time, Kaliber launches started from the Black Sea area. Repeated launches of cruise missiles, and they were expected to arrive within 60 to 90 minutes. Unfortunately, in the same Kryvyi Rih, in the suburbs, here's the aftermath of the shelling in the suburbs. Here, this was filmed by people sitting in a car. And these are the first results of the shelling. And then, unfortunately, children ended up under the rubble. Many children. Here, there's only partial video of the rubble here, about how they rescued the children. Here, people are helping. Everyone is helping each other. People are being rescued. In general, what's supposed to happen is happening. People are coming together to save each other. Unfortunately, once again, I can't show this video in full, according to YouTube rules. I absolutely can't show the bloody scene. You can watch it on my Telegram channel. There I post things that aren't on YouTube. Point your phone or tablet camera at this QR code, and it'll take you straight to my Telegram channel. If you're on a mobile device, there's a link in the video description that will take you where you need to go. There are other videos too. Here you can also see Kryvyi Rih, showing the children as well. Well, basically, this is a slightly different video, shot from another angle. Basically, there's nothing good there, of course. No, that's the first thing, and at the time this video was filmed, the shelling was far from over. I'm sure that after a few hours there will be much more terrifying shelling. This will give Zelensky a reason to say in the White House, look, while showing some photos, we need money, give us missiles. We will continue the war, let's impose sanctions on Russia, let's impose even more. And impose even more. Basically, they keep imposing so much that there's no end in sight. And when peace comes, it's absolutely impossible to understand, unfortunately. Here, Ptak and I are just shocked by all of this, of course. But we wish everyone who has suffered that everything will turn out well and that things get better as soon as possible. But, as you know, trouble never comes alone, it always brings its children along. Somehow it seems that, well, Ukrainians' trouble always brings more with it. Trouble never comes alone, it always brings more. The Russian offensive on the front has begun, and for now things are just getting started there. But overall, it seems they thought, if not by force, then by other means. Now it's already the Slavyansk and Kramatorsk area. The agglomeration is gradually turning into an isolated zone, according to various media reports. Russian troops are putting tremendous pressure on the Slavyansk-Kramatorsk area, and let me remind you that this agglomeration is one of the last lines of defense. If they capture it, if the remaining part of Donbass, those notorious 20% go to the Russian Federation, then after that, everything there will be relatively easy, and the front will start moving much faster. Russian units continue their attempts to penetrate Konstantinovka and are trying to gain a foothold within the city limits. When news like this appears, it's clear they've already gotten in and established themselves. And now there are literally just a couple of days left before everyone is informed about this as an accomplished fact. One of the key objectives is to capture the area between Ilinovka and Novodmitrovka. If Novodmitrovka is occupied, the Ukrainian group defending Chasov Yar could be at risk of encirclement, essentially ending up in a pocket. Logistics into the city are extremely difficult due to the Russian forces' superiority in using drones. And here a question arises. If Fedorov and that Dropat guy and all those drones and Sternenko together with Prytula are all involved in collecting for drones, then why is there still superiority? You have hundreds of thousands of drones there, but it's unclear where they are, what's happening, why aren't these very drones protecting Chasiv Yar, why is there still superiority? The situation there is turning out kind of strange. On one hand you hear about power and resilience, but again, his resilience always shrinks like a sombrero with news like this. On the other hand, you see them talking about the enemy's superior forces, about straightening the front line. We've heard this before, and other things like that. The Russian army is intensely shelling Konstantinovka with artillery and using guided aerial bombs. As far as I've heard, there's really nothing you can do against them. There's no real defense against that. Air defense should counter guided aerial bombs here, unless we're dealing with miracle workers, but nothing can help. Alexiva Druzhkovka and Druzhkovka are under constant attack and they are gradually being destroyed. In addition, the section of the front from Yampol to Menkovka is extremely important, and Russian forces are increasing pressure on the defense forces' positions here. Ukrainian commanders are expecting activity. There is also an increase in assault actions here. Artillery is being used to destroy minefields, combat reconnaissance is being conducted, and they are searching for weak spots in the Ukrainian defense. On top of that, we're being told that cities are being wiped off the face of the earth, and gradually those guided aerial bombs, cabs, rocket artillery, Shahed drones, and FPV drones are being used. They fly through the streets and hunt everything that moves or stands still, whatever is there. The Russian army maintains fire control to a depth of about 40 kilometers from the line of contact. And this, of course, is a serious threat to any movement. And the Sloviansk-Kramatorsk urban cluster is already being described as isolated, something people would go to only in an absolute emergency. Again, people stay there because all these evacuations are being carried out, but then people are dropped off somewhere, given a little money, given a little help, and then you're on your own, find work if you can somewhere. Naturally, people can't take all their clothes with them. They can't take all their belongings with them. People often leave behind their property, animals, jobs. You just don't have a job. And what to do in a completely unfamiliar city, nobody knows, especially those who don't have any relatives at least. The Russian army is also gradually deploying forces for a campaign on the Sloviansk-Kramatorsk axis. Attacks are already underway, and there have been successes in reducing the use of infantry. Well, in general, there are various rumors about this, but the fact remains there's nothing good about it. And we are apparently witnessing the beginning of a very large attack. Forces had already massed near Chernihiv, and attacks are already underway there as well. They also chose the perfect time to begin these reshuffles. Same difference, Syrsky for Dropotov. And by the way, Dropotov announced that mobilization measures and activities will be strengthened. So apparently the summoned squads, those same draft office guys we've seen more than once. They will continue to target Ukrainian citizens. And now they're armed with firearms, as I've shown you in the videos. Various batons too. Pepper spray canisters. Every single one of those draft office guys has them now. They spray gas into cars, they beat people and even shoot at them again. Just yesterday, if you haven't seen it, watch my video where women tried to protect a mobilized man and 3 women got hurt. One woman was almost shot there with a firearm. Just imagine that. I mean, some thug just went and fired at a woman without a second thought. The second woman was beaten and the third one had a van run over her foot.
Just a little more decay.
And then these characters tell you that Boryat will come and that you'll have trouble from the Boryats. Yeah, well, how could it get any worse? Excuse my language. Are you in your right mind to say something like that? But, that's not even all. Another huge problem is the blockade of Ukraine from the sea. They used to say before that it's a blockade, not a blockade. Now there are no notifications to each other anymore. Ukraine was shelling dry cargo ships and oil barges. Those tankers that transport oil and liquefied gas. As a result, the ports were shelled. Now they're not suitable for anything. Foreign ship owners don't want to use their vessels to transport valuable or even less valuable cargo. They simply value their ships and are gradually taking them out of the Black Sea. Black grief, yeah, that's a Freudian slip. All of this is not for nothing after all. It's happening now because, well, they started hitting hard at sea. And those little drone guys were saying that we were clearing the Black Sea of Russian forces. Well, and suddenly they themselves ended up locked in those very ports, and it's Ukrainian wheat, by the way. Well, let's see what they're telling us here. Almost 90% of Ukrainian agricultural exports go by sea. And all these people who are supposed to be so smart, maybe even geniuses, have put 90% of Ukrainian agricultural exports at risk. The losses are already real, we're told, because the port infrastructure for business is being destroyed and has already been destroyed. Trading vessels are suffering. And the shelling has shifted from Odessa to the mouth of the Danube. And we're told that today, wheat in Ukraine is being sold straight from the field. It's about 6,000 hryvnias per ton, including VAT. Well, if that's the price, it means huge losses. Especially considering that growing all this, cultivating it, is becoming more and more difficult. According to analysts, the ports of Greater Odessa account for about 56% of all Ukrainian exports. 9 out of 10 tons of agricultural products are shipped by sea, and you really have to be some kind of genius to put all that at risk. So before there was some kind of silent agreement. You don't touch us, we don't touch you. Of course, there were incidents, naturally. But for better or worse, something was moving and now there's nothing for anyone at all. So, has it gotten any better? Honestly, I don't know. I'm not a military expert. But if I'm told that the transportation of grain and other agricultural products has decreased by 90%, well, I come to the conclusion with my average mind that something is probably wrong in the Kingdom of Denmark. That's not good, especially for the country's economy. Secondly, it's not good for the well-being of the citizens. For many of them, well, not for those who are on vacation right now. I mean, those who are actively working, negotiating in the US. But for ordinary people, then we're also told that from January to June 2026, the total export volume was 27 million tons, and now it's already much less, and it's getting lower and lower. They say again that there is no blockade, but nevertheless, foreign ship owners not wanting to risk their property simply barred their ships from entering the ports of Odessa and others. Will the Danube and the railroad save Ukrainian grain? That's interesting, of course. That's the question. But no, the thing is, the capacity of these channels doesn't allow all of it to pass through, so all of it will either rot or be sold for cheap. Agricultural companies will be shutting down. Europe's breadbasket is changing, and soon nothing will surprise me. Here, Ukrainians are saying that in a couple of years, 15 million specialists will be needed in Ukraine to work. There's already no one left to work. And at the same time, they're planning to tighten and intensify mobilization measures. And they're inviting all sorts of valuable foreign specialists. So I won't be surprised. Soon, Ukraine will start buying grain with money from the European Union again because there simply won't be anything to eat. Instead of sending their own grain to Africa or Asia, well, it's absurd. That's how things are in general, but at the same time, there's some minimal hope that they'll talk about peace. Today, Trump said that he has a good relationship with Zelensky and, with Putin. And he tells both of them to stop the war. Well, but we can talk about this dove of peace endlessly, especially in light of how in Iran they're also taking these so-called peaceful measures. Currently, oil prices are rising with no positive outlook, and the future of the global economy is uncertain. We discussed this in the previous video. But excellent specialists are coming to Kyiv. Trump's son-in-law, Kushner, that's his name, and that's his official position as I understand it, well, and Ukraine, Itkov. By the way, this Kushner guy always looks like that. He reminds me of some kind of supervillain from different movies. Like, if you've seen the modern Sherlock Holmes, there was a Professor Moriarty. Well, he kind of looks like him. Of course, here he's much more charismatic, more striking, but he could play him just as well. But on the other hand, Zelensky had talks with Donald Trump. That's great. And in Kyiv, people are increasingly confident that the American president has become more supportive of the Ukrainian position. Well, I mean, they think that Trump is looking and thinking, oh, Ukraine, victory, we won, and all sorts of other cool things. Zelensky said it was a good meeting with President Trump. Well, that's while there are heavy shelling in Kyiv. Zelensky says President Trump wants to be where there's success. Is the shelling of Ukraine considered success now? It's hard to say, but apparently yes. And by the way, I once showed you a video of one of the characters, a person, well, it's hard to even call him that, who claimed that if Ukraine is hit with a nuclear weapon, that means victory. Well, I mean, there was a very complicated chain there, but it was absolutely illogical. And he was trying to prove to us that this is exactly the case. So, if Ukraine gets hit with a nuclear weapon, that means everything is great, everything is wonderful. So, what should we do? Let's take a look at these very powerful leaders. Maybe they'll tell us something we haven't heard yet. And I'm sure, yes, these are the glasses of power. I'll put them on right away so that the ionizing radiation of patriotic enthusiasm doesn't get into our nerve cells. And here we have Mama's boy. He's already covered his whole car with stickers. It's amazing he hasn't put a unit patch on his forehead yet. But he says that draft dodgers should choose a brigade if they're afraid of the military enlistment office. This woman, by the way, is a journalist from the TV Marathon who recently vacationed in Italy and some other countries. I posted a picture somewhere. Let me try to find it in my Telegram channel where she's on vacation. Here it is. Can ordinary Ukrainians enjoy the same kind of vacation? Well, that's a rhetorical question. But look how great this girl is feeling. That's good. I mean, they made money on the TV marathon, which gets a huge amount of funding, took a vacation, and now they're back with renewed energy to showcase these characters. Well, let's listen.
Maybe someone doesn't want to meet with the Territorial Recruitment Center. With Busik, they're calling out, "You'll get acquainted."
But just a man with this powerful, intense look on his face here, you can already see his muscles standing out, really strongly apparently from crawling through the trenches. They're telling ordinary people that they, you see, are draft dodgers. Well, I mean, that's what that guy was saying, and Bereza, Bliakar, and also Yomelian about all these draft dodgers. As a result, all of them have criminal cases opened against them for that very draft dodging, and they're saying that it's unfair. And just recently, they also grabbed some other guy, some Ukrainian pro-government journalist who was saying that everyone needs to serve. By the way, he's actually in my Telegram channel too, just a bit above, this very guy. See, he wrote that everyone should fight, that's justice. Fighters waiting for rotation. But as soon as he got drafted, that justice didn't work out for him anymore. Now he's shouting everywhere that it's all unfair. He has an exemption and he's a softie. Sakrit knows it too.
Where could he possibly go to serve?
Absolutely fair.
We've been waiting, thank you. Sitting in Italy, you can say anything. Fair enough, go and fight. Yes, 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 let's go, hooray.
Thank you. You don't need to have different options for various scenarios, so this is your choice. You will have a choice. It's better to have it than not to have it. Thank you, subtitles.
Yes, you'll have it, or those draft office guys will take you out themselves, or you'll get hit in the tree line. Really, what a wonderful choice. This was told somewhere, I think I read Main Read a long time ago. The Indians, their logic wasn't that great. And when they met, those very Americans, the first settlers, would trick them. For example, if an Indian shot a turkey and a settler shot an Indian vulture, there were different kinds anyway, you could hardly eat it. And the settler would say, listen, give me the turkey and you take the vulture, or you take the vulture and I'll take the turkey. And under the pressure of such logic, the Indians agreed. I don't know how true this is, it's just a story, but the choice is about the same. To the draft dodger, let's say, not to the deserter, but to the person who doesn't want to die at the front, they also say either you die at the front and don't go to the military enlistment office, or you go to the military enlistment office and die at the front. Well, that's probably fair, right, the way they see it. It's a mobilization resource. All of this, as they say, needs to be strengthened. And we also have, well, this kind of character, that's Karl Voluk, also a blogger, who says that it turns out Ukraine has gained some trump cards. What are these trump cards and where did he get them? It's impossible to know, but someone seems to have them.
Like he told Zelensky, you have no cards, you have no trump cards. Since he feels that we have gained some trump cards, honestly, Putin has done almost nothing significant in a year and a half. Feeling that Ukraine has gained some trump cards, it's clear that the situation is changing in our favor in this sense.
Well, let this person go to the front too and see for himself how everything is changing in our favor there. In short, I wish you and Juan peaceful skies overhead. Goodbye, everyone. Okay.
Thank you. If you look at cemeteries abroad, I also had the opportunity, because cemeteries are also a place where you can look and draw some conclusions about this country, about this community, about this village. I was at a cemetery in Croatia, a small cemetery in a little town. I was at a cemetery in France because I was once looking for Vladimir Vinnichenko's grave as I was doing a report as a journalist. I was also at a cemetery in Austria, in some small village. And these cemeteries, well, these graves, they are modest. They are more or less similar to each other. I was hurrying today to record this and passed by a store that offers tombstones and funeral services.